welcome to this edition of the Mama podcast. And today we are joined by the lovely Haddy from TheBlackPregnancy, who is very active on Instagram. So, welcome, Haddy. Please tell us all about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Thank you for having me. My name is Haddy. I'm a midwife, I'm a mum, a wife, and an advocate for Black maternal health. I also have a master's in public health, and I'm really, really passionate about highlighting the disparities that Black women face in the maternal space, in the perinatal space. And I think it's really important that not only Black women are aware of it, but also healthcare professionals. So I try to play to both sides of the line and make sure that everyone's aware. And just so I do that on TikTok and on Instagram. I'm trying to get on X, but yeah, we'll see.
Amazing. I only use I use Twitter to complain to utilities companies and stuff. So my Twitter is very embarrassing. I'm not sure if that's gone over to X or if it's a new one. So the less said about that, the better. Before we get into all of the stuff that you're doing to make a real difference in the world, can you tell us a bit more, because you are making a real difference in the world at home as well. So you have 4 kids, don't you?
Yeah, I've got 4 kids, spanning from 18 to 4. So there's a big, huge gap. And the house is absolutely crazy. Luckily, my eldest has gone off to uni, so one less in the house, a little bit more less crazy. But yeah, it's been great. I've got 2 boys, 2 girls. My husband and I share that workload, which is great because I think it really is a team and it really takes a village because it is a lot. Being a parent is a lot, especially in this society where we've got so much to come up against with social media and just costs of living and everything. But yeah, having that team really, really makes a difference. And yeah, I love them. They're crazy and we love it like that.
Oh, that's so nice. And that sort of enables you to do the work that you're doing on the side, as well as being a mum
Hmm.
and being a midwife. So tell us about your journey into midwifery, and why you've become so passionate about Black maternal health.
Yeah, I actually never wanted to be a midwife. Funnily enough, I'm probably a generational midwife, if that's what they call it. My grandma's a midwife, was a midwife. My mum was a midwife as well. And it was something I definitely did not want to do. Seeing my mum work long hours, working at night, and then she'd come home and then she'd ask us to be quiet during the day because she was sleeping. It just didn't make sense to me. I didn't get it. It's not something I wanted to do. I went into the science field. My first degree was in biomedicine, and I was like, yeah, that's me. I'm a scientist. Keep me there. And then my best friend got pregnant at 19, and being in her birth, I was in the room. She had a beautiful water birth. It was actually the most magical thing I'd ever seen. Um, Seeing the midwives care for her, look after her, show her so much respect. Because she was a teenage mom and there was a lot of not animosity, but being an African child and getting pregnant out of wedlock, she didn't get as much support from her family as she would have liked to. And so it was us as friends that were really there for her. So having the midwives who we saw as adults and professionals actually, giving her choices and options and caring about her feelings, it was like a whole eye opener for me. I got very emotional. I was like, I'm doing this. I signed up literally the following week and they accepted me. And I was like, woo, I'm going to do midwifery. So yeah, that was fun.
That's
That's what
such a that's such a beautiful story. I didn't expect you to say
yeah.
that at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, so that's
That's
what got me into it. And then the Black maternal health side, it was just obviously as growing up as a Black girl, you always hear things, but I didn't actually know the statistics until I actually did midwifery and we're learning about it at school, at uni. And then also I'm not seeing us in the books that we're studying. I'm hearing words that don't really describe us. Like I'm hearing, oh, the baby's pink, or we're doing postnatal obs on the baby, and we're talking about a pink baby, whereas we should be saying well perfused. And these are things that I was questioning and talking about, and I was that student that would always talk about it, and then I became that midwife that would always talk about it. And I was lucky enough to be in a space where I saw, that 5 times more started, their campaigning. And one student that I used to know now became quite an advocate online, Alicia Burnett. And I was like, this is me, this is a bit of me, I'm on that. I opened an account and slowly started posting. There was a lot of inferiority complex where I just thought, am I the person to be talking about this? Should I really be, discussing this? But this is my story, this is my history, this is what I've been through. And like speaking to women and my friends and my family, my sisters, you know, it is something that comes up a lot and just isn't really spoken about in professional spaces. So I just wanted to be that person that's like, actually, no, we shouldn't say that. We should say this. We should not do that. We should do this, and take it from there.
I think it's so important, so commendable, but it's so important to like stand up for like what's right and true to your values. And, because I think some people are just oblivious and don't think about it, and others can be like ignorant. And I think if you have a platform and you have a voice, then you should use it. And like, if I look at your social media, your Instagram's super appealing. And I can imagine
Thanks.
like people both take in, like Heidi, I think you said it, just that kind of like mix of both.
Yeah, it's really educational, and it's really good fun as well, which is what I loved about it. It's got the right balance. I could watch all your all your videos all day. It's brilliant. But terminology is so interesting because we've just been updating our website to have information about how to spot the signs of jaundice in babies, especially black babies, because obviously it's harder to detect. And we were told that sort of the teachings and the original papers are sort of based on white babies. So it's interesting that you mentioned the word pink there. Is that to do with like the APGAR scores when babies first born and you have to sort of measure how they're doing when they're first born? Because that's really interesting, and I just think it's quite outdated.
Yeah, a lot of the terminology that we were, that we're educated with as midwives and as healthcare professionals is outdated, and it is based on either white men or white women. So now that we're in this multicultural society, and we have been for years, but I think there's like this new, health awakening where we're actually, no, we have brown, we have, you know, other shades of humans,
Mm.
and that's okay. And we need to respect that, and we need to include that. So not only for people to feel like, oh, I'm included, like look at me, but it's also it's a safety aspect. um like the NHS Health Observatory found that it's not okay for midwives to just look at babies and say jaundice or not jaundice. We need to use equipment, we need to use things that are not biased, that look past the melanin that other cultures have. Like you might get a Chinese baby that might appear a little bit yellow, and that's probably because their parents have the olive skin in them. So it is important that we don't just make assumptions, that we do test all babies before they go home to make sure that they're not jaundiced, not just based on what we see.
So what are the biggest challenges that black and brown women face during pregnancy, do you think?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ones gone from 5 times more in recent years to about nearly 3 times more. And the reason I think it's gone down is because there's just been an influx of advocacy. Women are now more aware of their actual rights and what they're entitled to, and actually speaking their mind. So that came out in the Embrace report, and we're waiting for a new one anytime this October. And I'm praying and hoping that it continues to go down. But we also need to highlight women's experiences. So Black women can often feel gaslit in the medical environment, where our pain is just not as important or not taken as seriously. We're seen as strong Black women, and therefore, we might not feel pain as much. Maybe getting analgesia isn't as important for us. And that's come out in various medical papers, various research where Black women have spoken about their experiences. And it is quite a sad thing because it really affects our pregnancies, and also we've got intergenerational trauma. So I think the point I'm trying to make is that obviously we have doctors from all over the world from the UK, from different ethnicities, and they've also got their intergenerational traumas and their intergenerational beliefs and biases that come up. But I think it's important that as a collective, we acknowledge those. I think that's the first step, because obviously Black women, we can have that intergenerational trauma that can reflect in how we breastfeed, can reflect in how we express pain, how open we are with maternity services. And then obviously as the healthcare professional side of things, I work with some of the best doctors, midwives, and healthcare professionals, I believe, out there. And I don't believe any of them have a racist bone in their body. But I do believe that we all need to be actively anti-racist, even the Black and mixed heritage healthcare professionals, because we too can perpetuate those stereotypes. So, yeah, that's what I think.
It's all about awareness, isn't it? Because sometimes I think without thinking, we can be sort of unconsciously biased. So we say things without thinking.
Yeah.
And I think the more people that sort of speak up and point these things out can really then make a difference, because then we can think, oh, okay, yes, actually, maybe that wasn't appropriate, and maybe I shouldn't be thinking this, and maybe I shouldn't be thinking that. And I think sometimes a lot of assumptions are made as well.
Yeah.
And midwives are so busy. It's just reminding them to focus on the facts in front of them rather than making some assumptions, I think.
Yeah.
So what role can actual midwives and the healthcare professionals themselves play in addressing these disparities? What advice would you give to them?
I would say treat the person in front of you, like treat the symptoms, not the color. I think it's really important. Like a lot of people feel like they're not listened to or they're not, respected. I think it's really important that we just look at the symptoms, what's actually happening, treat that as you would any other person. And also, we risk assess everything. So we really need to properly risk assess every single person and give personalized care. This works like throughout healthcare, but it's so important in maternity. This is the most vulnerable time of, birthing people or women's lives, like that perinatal period from preconception to being pregnant to actually being in labor to that postnatal period. It is so vulnerable. You could be the most confident woman, and then when you're in that situation, like the floodgates open, you're just not yourself. The hormones are all over the place, and you need people that you can trust. You need the service to be catered to you, and we have that availability. We can do a personalized service, but we need to do that. It needs to be culturally competent as well. So as much as I'm not a huge advocate on cultural competency training, because I think that we need to take responsibility ourselves, but I think it's a good starting point. I think if all healthcare professionals go and get competency training, then at least they have somewhere to start. They have a benchmark to, go up from. I think that will make a huge difference in the experiences of Black and brown women that come under their care.
You talked about a little bit about this before when we talked about 5 times to 3 times and advocating for yourself being so important in childbirth. We've had guests talk about this before and actually how they haven't felt they've been able to. And I'd just be interested, like your perspective, how important is that?
It is so important because even if you can't do it for yourself, I think you need to have a birth partner or someone with you who can do it for you. Because I think as healthcare professionals, sometimes we just assume, a lot of people go off TikTok or on Google, and then they come in and they're like, I've got this problem with me, and whatnot, and we might dismiss that, or go on, the evidence-based information. But it's very important that it's very important that women or birthing people go into these spaces, one, equipped with the statistics so they know, where they fall in that. So for Black and brown women, it's about 3 times more. For Asian women, it's about like 1.5 times more than white women. And even for the white women that are dying, these things, half of them are more than half of them are preventable. They could be stopped. We could do more, and we should do more. So it's about asking for second opinions. It's about asking questions. It's about speaking up for yourself. And on 5 Times More's website, they've got a list of 6 things that you can do as a birthing person to advocate for yourself. They've also got 6 things that healthcare professionals can do to better provide care for Black and brown women, which I think is really important.
Yeah, we love the advocacy side because we know how important that is. So on our wellbeing wallets and on our pregnancy passports, we have information about advocacy. There's a QR code on there that links directly to a page that's specifically for Black and brown skinned women, and we have those steps on that page. We talk about how to get a second opinion if you feel that you need one, and that is that you can always ask to speak to your head of midwifery if you want that secondary advice. But we also have just put some scripts together for parents, because I think sometimes it can be quite intimidating and daunting trying to get that second opinion, or if you feel like you want to change your mind about something, if you want an alternative method of pain relief and you want to ask that person, actually, this isn't working for me, can I try something else? Sometimes when you're in that moment as well, especially you're in labor or you're feeling very, very anxious, it's very, very hard to know how to put into words and use the right language to ask. And I think I would feel quite shy speaking up because I'm a bit of a people pleaser, and if I'm seeing all the staff running around and they're so busy, I always think everybody else is more important than me, so we have put these scripts together, and I've just done some lives on Instagram on a Tuesday night with Sue Atkins. And so if people would feel that a script on how to advocate and how to speak up and ask for different things would be helpful, go to the resources section on our website and it says Empower Yourself with Sue Atkins. And then within that, you'll see the scripts at the bottom of the page. So hopefully that will be helpful for people, because I know I would have found it helpful to have some sort of wording in front of me that I could use. And also a birth plan is quite helpful, isn't it? Because again, you can refer back to what you wanted, and your partner can help you with that, because it's all written down in front of you. You can say, oh, actually, she wanted this and she wanted that, which I think could be quite helpful.
And how do you,
this is a question. That's really helpful.
Sorry, this is a question for both of you, I guess. What about like for people whose first language isn't English, where it becomes all that much harder? What would you suggest in that scenario?
Heidi, do you want to go first?
Well, I'm not a midwife, but what I was thinking is our website is translatable into different languages. So all the resources and things that we have on there, like the 5 steps, advocacy, the scripts that I've just mentioned, you can select your language. But also you do have the right to request a translator. So you should always ask your midwife for that, and then they can arrange for that to be available at your appointments.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think us as healthcare professionals, if we notice someone's coming in and English isn't the first language, we must use interpretation services, because it's very easy to be like, oh, I'm listening to your baby now, okay? And you're, like, most people just nod and smile because they don't want to be rude, they don't want to question things, but they might not completely understand what we're asking of them or what we're about to do to them. And it's so important that we get consent. I can't stress it enough. We must get consent from all the people we look after. So yeah, 100% we need to provide interpretation services. But also, Black and brown women are multifaceted. They might have not just language issues, but maybe communication issues. Maybe they've got a learning disability or they're on the spectrum. We need to look at all those things. And again, like I said, the more personalized the care is, the better the outcome. That's what the research shows. That's what common sense says. Like, that's exactly what we need to do.
Definitely. And again, we have a page on our website all about informed choice. There's a QR code from the Wellbeing Wallets that leads to that as well. Because again, like you say, it's so important that we make sure that we're getting all the information given to us in the right way, all the facts, all the pros, all the cons, and then we give our full consent to whatever decision we want to make.
Exactly.
So what other sort of common misconceptions would you like to clear up?
Obviously, I think the first thing is like the whole Black women are strong or that we feel pain differently. You still hear, sadly, healthcare professionals saying that we don't feel anything differently to anybody else. We are exactly the same. The blood, pours the same. So please just treat us like everybody else, but everybody else needs to be treated as an individual, and that's all we're asking for. I think that's really, really important. Um, I also think it's important to cut the whole like angry Black woman thing. I think when we're in spaces where we are vulnerable, coming out and speaking and being labeled aggressive just shuts a lot of things down. And I think it's really important to give, women and birthing people time to calm down, time to relax, time to feel safe, and then revisit conversations. Um, that would be really great for them and for the healthcare professionals involved to make sure that that best outcome is sought. Yeah, that will be it for me. And the perinatal period is so special. It's so beautiful. There are so many amazing things that can happen. I want Black and brown women to know that you are not your generational trauma. You are so much bigger than that, so much better than that. I often put affirmations on my page because I think it's so important that we look at the bright side and enjoy every single moment of that special time. So I want women to go away feeling great, happy, amazing, fulfilled. And again, the Black pregnancy, as much as it's focused on Black and brown women, it's not just for Black and brown women. It really is for everyone, every pregnant woman, every pregnant birthing person. I do a lot of advocacy for the LGBTQ community as well, because we all matter. Everyone in that space matters. Dads matter. You know, I just want people to go away feeling good once they've had a baby, before they've had a baby. That whole period is so, so important. It's so beautiful.
I love affirmations. Maybe that needs to be something that we develop for our shop. And yeah, everyone that's pregnant can get some affirmation cards to get them through the 9 months.
Makes a big difference.
I'm thinking like I'd love it if you were like in the room with me as a midwife. Like I already feel like safe and happy and like
Good.
heard. And yeah, it's like a really nice vibe. So you talked about a bit about the affirmations on your Instagram then, and we've already touched on your Instagram being an amazing platform that hits the right notes on like education and personal and making it fun. So could you tell us a bit more about that? What do you use it for? And yeah, how do you engage with your followers?
Well, like I said, I opened it because I wanted to attack the inequalities that Black and brown women face. But as a Black African, like I'm British, I'm African, I wanted to bring all that in. So you see the dry British humor, and you also get the African music, the African style of things. I'm Gambian, like heritage. My husband's Nigerian. Afrobeats is huge in the UK now. I really want to bring that forward and make that a part of things so people feel like they can connect to it. Everything I post, I'm posting to me. For girls like me that can relate to that kind of style, that kind of music. And I'm hoping it resonates with a lot of people because I love all those things. I love being British. I love being Black. I love being African. And I want those things to come out in the content that I put out. So yeah, I'm hoping that all shows.
It
And I hope
definitely
it's
does.
fun
It
and
definitely
funny.
does. It is. It is. It's brilliant. It's absolutely
Yeah,
brilliant.
thank
I'd love
you.
to hear a success story from you now where advocacy or awareness has made a difference to someone.
Um, I'm lucky enough to get a lot of DMs that let me know, this helped, or I was able to, speak to my midwife about this. And a lot of what I do, I don't get paid for this. I do this because I love it. I have a job. I work as a midwife. I get to be a mum, which I absolutely love. But this is my passion. So, answering DMs about how do I get a home birth, the midwives have said no to me. I worked with one lady from pretty much her first midwifery appointment where she was like, oh, they don't want to give me a home birth. Gave her advice on who to contact. We talked about talking to her head of midwifery, um, writing letters. I helped her write that email that needed to go through to the unit that she was at and actually getting the home birth that she wanted. She did end up getting transferred back to the hospital and having the baby there because the midwife didn't feel safe continuing. But the fact that they started with what she wanted, they respected it in the end. She got to fight for what she wanted. I think that was the main thing. She felt so happy. She left that birth, she wrote me a little testimonial. And I was really happy that she got what she wanted. That's what it's about. We should have the choice to get what we want. And, being Black or being high risk or, this or that shouldn't be an excuse for why we can't, get what we want. Midwifery services need to work around women, not the other way around. That's how it used to be.
Those testimonials mean so much, don't they? Like when you give back
Hmm.
to like just one person, it feels so good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like so purpose driven, and I can really see your community just growing and growing,
Thank you.
and like having a bigger impact, both for like on the healthcare, like professional side, but also just like individuals. It's incredible. And what
Thank you.
advice would you give to healthcare professionals or anyone wanting to advance the cause for Black maternal health?
The main thing I'd say is listen. Like listen to women in general. Like they are the experts in their own bodies. They know about themselves. They know what they're feeling. They know what they're thinking. Trust them. Believe them. Yeah, that's the main thing. I don't even want to go into anything else because I think that if that hits home, then that makes the biggest difference.
And what actionable steps can our listeners take to support better maternal health outcomes, do you think?
I'd say write to your MPs, let them know, that you're not happy with the statistics, you want more to be done. We need to work with government to make sure that actual tangible steps are taken to improve maternity services. The CQC has just said like 48% of maternity services are, requires improvement. That is not good enough. We need to do better. We need more midwives. So ask your MPs to get more midwives in. We need them. We're like critically short of staff. It is very hard work because there isn't enough of us and we are spread thin. So I think that will make a huge difference. And just support your friends, listen to them, encourage them to speak up. Yeah, I think those are the main things.
Definitely, I'd agree. We're putting together a little manifesto ourselves at the moment, and all those points you've just mentioned are in there, including staff retention as well, because you can recruit lots of new student midwives, but unfortunately there's a lot of midwives sort of leaving out the other side because it's just such a difficult working environment at the moment. So we really want to focus on staff retention as well. But I just want to thank you, Haddy, for all you're doing. It's absolutely remarkable. It's remarkable that you find the time to fit all this in. But I know when you're passionate about something, you just do it. It just happens. So people can obviously follow you on Instagram as TheBlackPregnancy. They can obviously find you on LinkedIn as well. Are there any other platforms that you're on?
I'm slowly growing on Twitter, so you can follow me on Twitter as well as TheBlackPregnancy, and Threads, which is part of Instagram, is TheBlackPregnancy. Again, I'm thinking about X. I'll let you know. But yeah, those are the main places.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it. It's been eye-opening. I'm looking forward to what the future holds for you and the community as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Haddy. Take care.
Thanks for having me.